responsible for their father's death. But they were far enough away and well hidden in shadow, so Smethwick looked away and fumbled with the object he was holding, cursing as one of his sleeves became momentarily hooked on it. "Unnecessarily flouncy," Arthur whispered. Maudie stifled a snigger and strained to see what it might be. "It looks like some sort of lockpick." There was a clunk. Then the door opened. After one last brief look over his shoulder, Smethwick disappeared inside. "He's broken in. Come on, let's get closer," said Arthur. They rushed across the street to stand behind a laurel hedge close to the door. After several minutes, Smethwick reappeared, grasping a bundle of what appeared to be books. He clicked the door shut, glanced around, then headed back down the street. When he was a safe distance ahead, Arthur and Maudie moved from behind the hedge and followed him through several streets until he turned and crept up the path of a large detached house. Arthur whispered, "Quick, let's get across the lawn. There's a light on." Maudie nodded. There was only a thin sliver of moon that evening, so she felt confident they wouldn't be seen. They jumped the ornate railing and hurried toward the great house like a pair of foxes scurrying in the night. They stopped behind a voluminous rosebush just short of the huge windows that were open to the warm night air, snow-white drapes blowing softly outward in the breeze. The glow of pitch lamps inside lit the grass with an orange glow. The room was sumptuously decorated with elaborate gilded mirrors, plump kingfisher blue and ruby red cushions, gold cornices, and lush plants, the likes of which, Arthur noted, were not from anywhere near Lontown. "Do you think that chandelier is crystal and diamond?" he whispered. "And I'm betting that's real gold. The luxury is actually hurting my eyes, Artie." A man they didn't recognize walked to the fireplace, looked at his pocket watch, then adjusted the mantel clock. On the sideboard beside him, although it was difficult to see clearly from the distance, there appeared to be photographs of individuals in various locations. Mountaintops, snowy plains, jungles, and one rather horrible picture of a man holding up the head of a dead animal, possibly a North Polaris bear, Arthur guessed. When the man had finished with the clock, he turned and stood in thought. There was something familiar about him, but Arthur couldn't place what it was. He was elderly, with a pin-sharp look about his eyes, white hair cropped short. The wrinkles of age were concentrated around his eyes and the bridge of his nose, as though formed by many years of very careful and calculated thought. He was immaculately dressed in a double-breasted suit, with diamond cufflinks and a pale pink shirt. One hand held a bejewelled cane, although he appeared to have no weight bearing on it, and the other hand was tucked into his jacket pocket, the thumb resting outside. His chin was slightly tilted upward. He oozed superiority. The door opened, and Eudora Vane walked into the room with the force of a strong gust of wind, looked at the clock, then dropped into a chair. The twins exchanged a glance, something like a roll of the eyes mixed with horror, as they both recognized the similarity. Maudie whispered, "He must be her father." "You know what that means?" Arthur took a breath. "He's our grandfather." They had no memory of any of their grandparents. On the Brightstorm side, their grandfather had died many years before they were born, and their grandmother had passed when they were very young. Although in the photographs they'd seen, their Brightstorm grandfather had their father's kindly eyes and their grandmother his infectious smile. Eudora Vane, they learned not long ago, was their mother's sister. "Waiting is tedious," Eudora huffed. "For goodness' sake, stop slouching." Her father's voice was as trimmed and precise as his appearance. "There's no one here," she complained, but she sat up straighter nonetheless. "Forget yourself within your own four walls and forget your standing in society. It's a slippery slope, especially in these times, as well you know." Eudora narrowed her eyes. "Do you really believe that he was on to something? The tiresome Eastern Isles are only good for one thing, and that's the Pomerian puffback.